chapter 7, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So how was the experience?
Prabhuji, you want sharing option, right, Prabhuji?
No, that's okay. I mean, all of you have the book. I don't. You know,
If you want, I can just allow sharing also, so it is much easier.
okay. You can give that option so that we can recite the verses together. That's okay. Yeah. So how was the experience? Studying first 7 chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Wonderful. Yeah. Raksha Dave Mataji is saying wonderful.
Yes, Prabhuji. Wonderful.
Yeah. Especially first 6 chapters. They are the most foundational of, for the entire philosophy to come ahead. You must have enjoyed the chapter number 4 and 5 especially. The lamentation of Vyasdev and how his mistake was rectified. Right? And then, so this is the first section actually in the Bhagavatam. First 6 chapters, they give you the background of what is Bhagavatam and what you are supposed to study and what you are supposed to get from Bhagavatam. It clarifies in the beginning only. And then, as we move ahead in the 7th chapter onwards, there is a history of Parikshit Maharaj, because he is the prime hearer and Sukadeva Goswami is the prime speaker. About Sukadeva Goswami, it was briefly mentioned in the beginning chapters, how he was detached from the material world and how he learned Srimad Bhagavatam from his father Vyasdev, right? So it was a brief introduction to Sukadeva Goswami, but more importance is given to Parikshit Maharaj because we are all hearers here, right? So even though I may be speaking, but I am also actually hearing from Srila Prabhupada and his Sukadeva Goswami's all other representatives. So therefore, it is more important for us to know about the hearer, Parikshit Maharaj. What was his life, story, and how he came across Srimad Bhagavatam, and the circumstances which Parikshit Maharaj faced in his life, we all have to eventually face, right? And not eventually, actually, every day we are facing. And so therefore, it is important for us to know how Parikshit Maharaj reacted to the situations he faced. Especially the situations which he didn't expect. So therefore, Bhagavatam is mostly for, the situations which are not expected from us. Generally, we expect something and then we can plan, right? But there will be situations where, we do not plan and suddenly something will happen. And how you will react to that situation will decide your further journey in your life, where we will go, right? So that's why from 7th chapter onward, history of Parikshit Maharaj described. And while studying that, this 8th chapter will begin here, where there will be beautiful prayers by Kunti Maharani, and also how Parikshit Maharaj was saved in the womb of Uttara. It will be described. So we'll, I'll read the verse and then somebody can, or we together recite the verse. What do you do generally? We together recite the verse? No. Okay, because that sound will, be very, it's on Zoom. Okay. So I'll recite the verse and somebody can read it. And if I have the option to share, yeah. Okay. Okay, so we begin with the first verse. Chapter entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Saved. Text 1. Suta Uvacha Atha te samparetanam Swanam udakam ichchatam datum sukrishna gangayam puraskritya yayustriya. Yeah. Rakshadavi Mataji, please read the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Ho. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, thereafter the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Gangas with Draupadi. The ladies walked in front. Can I read Prabhu's part?
No, I'll just tell you in between.
Okay.
So these are the events which have happened after Kurukshetra war. After the Kurukshetra war, Prabhupada writes here in the purport, to date, you can do one thing. I don't know whether you actually do this or not. Wherever I will read the purports, I'll try to give the title. And you can note down that for your reference if you want. So that makes the study of Prabhupada purports easier. And whenever later you refer, you can just easily grasp whatever mentioned in the purport. So if you have the pencil and if you have the whatever book or you're writing in the computer, wherever, you can note down. Wherever I feel appropriate, I'll just mention the purport title. So for this purport, the title is Post-Mortem Purification. Post-mortem purification. So Prabhupada writes that to date, it is the custom of Hindu society to go to the Ganges or any other sacred river to take bath when death occurs in the family. Each of the family members pour out a pot full of Ganges water for the departed soul and walks in a procession. So actually, it is mentioned that when somebody departs from the body, and see, that's why in our Hindu rituals, the body is burned actually. Why? Because soul is so attached to the body that soul is still there hovering around that dead body if the body is not burned. So this is the reason why body is burned. And one of the commentaries I was referring, Sri Subodhani, I think, yeah, it is mentioned that there is an astral body after the departure of the soul. That astral body is actually the soul is still hanging around. So it mentions that with a view to get released from this Pretvam body, that is astral body, remaining in the place of a death after the physical body is cremated or buried. The description of the various ceremonies performed after the death is being done now here, just like the pouring of the Ganges to give the offering of water. And why specially Ganges water? Prabhupada mentions in the purport, not sorry here, but the Sri Subodhani mentions that it is said in the scriptures that the 3 handful of water given by sun mitigates the sorrow of the departed soul. There is a quotation. So with the view to remove the sorrow of the departed, it is necessary to do the offering of water. So that's why whoever was remaining in the Kuru dynasty, mostly all the ladies, Pandavas, along with Lord Krishna, as will be mentioned in the next verse, all of them, they go to the Ganges to pour the water for the departed souls. Yeah, in the purport Prabhupada mentions, Pandavas also followed the rules more than 5,000 years ago. Lord Krishna, being a cousin of the Pandavas, was also among the family members. Right? Yes, and then it further mentions, I think I have given you the breakup of the chapter in the WhatsApp. So you can follow that. I have given just before the class. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll share, I'll post it here in the chat also. Oh, I'm not allowed to post the chat. Yeah, I'm allowed. So you can follow that breakup. Okay. Okay, then as we move ahead in the text number 2, te niniyodokam sarve vilapya cha bhrasham puna aluptam haripadabjam rajam puta sarijjale. Yeah, anybody read? Anyone can read. Translation, verse number 2.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, please read.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So this verse mentions the purificatory potency of the Ganges. As you all know, how the Ganges was originated. When Vamandev was measuring the three planetary systems, that time he pierced the covering of the universe, and the causal water of the causal ocean came out, touching the lotus feet of the Lord, and that's how this water known as Ganges is so purifying. And otherwise, in the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he mentions that. So this here you will see that the Pandavas, they bathed only once, but Chakravarti Thakur writes that Pandavas, they took second bath also. When they took first bath in the Ganges, they were thinking that when Ganges came down to the earthly planet, maybe it was mixed with other waters also. So they wanted to make sure that they take bath in the Ganges. So now Lord Krishna himself is present there. So they let Lord first take bath, and then after the Lord, now once the Lord enters the water will again become Ganges, right? Even if it was not Ganges. Then later second time they took the bath to make sure that also not just to make sure that the purificatory rites are performed, but their dependence on the Lord is shown here. How they were dependent on Lord Krishna. Then after that, in the third verse, now they will mention further. Tatrasinam kurupatim dhritarashtra sahanujam gandhari putra shokarta pratham krishnam cha madhava. Yeah. Please read translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Verse number 3. There sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaj Yudhishthir, along with his younger brothers, and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. Here the interesting word is used, Madhava. And actually Madhava means the Lord of the goddesses of fortune, right? But you will see here, the situation right now is, you will see the all misfortune. So you may wonder, how come there is, wherever there is a Lord who is, the source of all fortune, and his name is mentioned, Madhava. So how come there is, misfortune? So of course, it apparently is misfortune. Actually, wherever there is Lord, there is always auspiciousness. Ishopanishad, you must have studied, Lord is, known as Sarva Mangaldai. Whether he kills somebody or whether he, gives someone life, is equally auspicious. So that's why, Prabhupada mentions that the battle of Kurukshetra was fought between family members, and thus all affected persons were also family members like Maharaj Yudhishthir and brothers Kunti, Draupadi, Subhadra, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and her daughter-in-law. All the principal dead bodies were in some way or other related with each other, and therefore the family grief was combined. And there, Lord Krishna came and started to pacify them. Mostly all the ladies who were there. And actually, Sri Subodhani, the commentator says that actually ladies are consoled by other ladies, right? So how did Lord Krishna, he was consoling? Because apparently Lord Krishna is, although Supreme Lord, is appearing as a male form. So the Sri Subodhani commentary explains that how come our Lord Sri Krishna came over there to console them? This is answered by the use of the word Madhava. So another meaning of the word Madhava is given there. Our Lord is held here as Madhava, which means that he was the consort and husband of Goddess Lakshmi. All the ladies are considered as being part Amsha of Goddess Lakshmi. Therefore, it was indeed appropriate for our Lord to have come over there to console them, as our Lord is the real Pati or husband of the universe. Right? So actually, Lord is the only person who can console. And just like you will see in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Arjun, with his supermost intelligence, supermost skill, he was bewildered. See, it's not just the technique or the skills that matters in the life. You need a care and love and affection to utilize those skills and techniques in time of need. So sometimes we may be very skilled, but if we are mentally demoralized, we cannot function. So therefore, as the Lord was acting in the Kurukshetra, see, Krishna was acting before Kurukshetra war, during Kurukshetra and after, all the time, just like you see in the Samudra Manthan pastime. In the beginning, middle and end, every time Lord Vishnu was the only factor who was helping them to act. Even after the nectar was produced, they didn't have the ability to distribute themselves equally, right? So even if you get the best of the things in this world, still you don't know how to utilize them. Still, for that purpose and guidance, you need the guidelines of Lord Krishna, like that. And then in the text number 4, Santvayamasa munevir hata bandhum sucharupitan bhuteshu kalasya gatim darshayanta pratikriyam. Yeah. Gyandi Prabhuji, please read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Citing the stringent laws of Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, Lord Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. So Lord Krishna, what he did is trying to pacify them by explaining the power of time and the stringent laws of the material nature. Prabhupada's in a long purport, you can give the title to this purport, Pacifying Materially Affected Conditioned Souls. Pacifying materially affected conditioned souls. Pacifying materially affected conditioned souls. So actually, when there is calamity in our life, if we do not get proper answer for that, then we can become atheist. That's how the whole world is arranged. You have to pass through these testing periods. And whenever time acts, time means which you cannot counter. Can you counter the actions of time? See, even the greatest of the personalities like Bhishma, Drona, they could not. So in front of them, we are nothing. That verse will come ahead. When Yudhishthir Maharaj will be explained, will be answered by Bhishma Dev, that how come that the most religious personality, Dharmaraj, that is Yudhishthir Maharaj, and all the pious souls, Pandavas, in presence of Lord Krishna, how come they faced all the calamities? So that time you will get the answer, time. Right? Of course, the purpose is there, different for there to establish the religion, the pious rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And here also in our lives, to establish the pious rule of Krishna consciousness. See, if we all have to become devotees, then we all have to understand why calamities come in life. Prabhupada used to cite, this one example. During the Second World War, many German soldiers, they were on the battlefield, and their wives, maybe wives or sisters or daughters, they were praying in the church. Please return our husbands, brothers, or whoever. And they did not return. So what happened? They all became atheists because they didn't get the proper answer as to why these things are happening. So therefore, here in the purport, Prabhupada writes that actually the stringent laws of the material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be altered by any living entity. Actually, we are all slave of time, isn't it? Whatever time says, we have to obey. We cannot say no. If the time says now, you have to go to washroom to respond to the nature's call. You have to. With the passage of time, our body will become old. We cannot say, I want to remain young, right? With the passage of time, whatever influence, whatever power we have will be taken away. That's the rule of the, this world. We cannot say no. So there will be change, enacted by the